welcome you to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're saving souls, we're saving businesses, we're saving jobs, we're saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. The mission here at the Marketing Pulpit TV show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. If you ever find yourself at a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit TV show because we're on a mission. We're on a mission. We're about building these businesses, building that economic foundation, and putting our people to work. I'd like to welcome you again to another version of the Marketing Pulpit TV show. And I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. and I bring you the good marketing gospel. That's right. Let me tell you something, folks. That's my calling. That's my ministry. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a calling, if you don't have some juice that gets you up in the morning, something to get you motivated, something that makes you want to go out here and change things, it's not too late. I found mine. That's to help businesses grow. Because we're into the summertime. And our children are looking for work. Our adults are looking for work. And our community has a responsibility to provide jobs and opportunity for its citizens. You can't do that if you don't have a business. We must provide the businesses to provide the jobs. And it's not just any business. We need to provide successful businesses. Let me tell you something. Any Joe Blow or Jane can go out here and start a business. You walk down the street, you throw a rock, you're going to hit 5 business owners. But the optimum word is successful businesses. And that's where I come in. My goal is to make sure you're not wasting your time, wasting your money, wasting your energy. Because succeeding in business is fun, but failing at business, not so much. So you want to make sure you're doing the right things to be successful in business. That's where Robert Gatewood comes in. I'm going to ask you a question, business owners. First of all, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. If you're a business owner, so you can sit back and think about this for a minute. First of all, are you selling a product or service that people want? Some people get in business for the wrong reason. They have sentimental reasons. They're following the crowd, little social proof, desire to belong, jumping in. Somebody put a move on them, sold them something. Is it a business or service that's in demand that people want? We don't have to create new needs and wants. There are enough needs and wants out here right now. And is your service satisfying some of those needs and wants? Ask yourself that question. Number 2, are you promoting that business on the platforms, in the media, in the locations where those people are? They got to find out about it. One of the number 1 reasons that businesses fail, you're not promoting it. Let me ask you another question. Is that business available at the time and place that's convenient for the people you're trying to sell it to? Which means you may have to sometimes do home delivery. You may have to take mail order. You may have to set up a corner store. You may have to set up your business across the street from the places where you're doing most of your customers. So is that in place? And last but not least, are you pricing that business the right way? And that's going to be our marketing sermon today. The price is right. Or is it? I'm going to ask you a question. Let me ask you this question here. Most people get this wrong, but I'm sure I have a smart, very astute, and erudite audience. Is the lowest price the best price? Marinate on that for a minute. Because later in the show, my sermon is going to be on pricing. I've seen so many good ideas and so many businesses go down the tube because they didn't price the product right. So that's why today, later in the show, we're going to talk about pricing. The price is right. Is the lowest price the best price? And why? The answer may surprise you. Speaking of pricing, I was coming to work today. Let me tell you a little story. I was coming to work this morning. I want to say welcome to everybody who's tuning in this morning. Good morning there, Brother Brown. Brother Brown said he can answer that question for me. But Brother Brown, I'm going to throw that ball to you. Is the lowest price the best price? I want to know. I want to know, what do you think is the lowest price the best price? Let me, while we marinate on that for a minute. I was coming to work today, driving down the street, looked down, my gas tank was a little low, need some gas, right? So what I do? I go to the gas station, but I didn't go to any gas station. I looked up and I saw a sign that said $2.79. You know how they have the gas signs up there? They have like the lowest price at the top, then they have the next price, and then they have like some price for like what is that synthetic gas or something. But usually the first sign you see at the top is the price for the lowest, what is the octane 83 or whatever. So I see that sign that says $2.79. I was a little surprised because all of the other gas stations I had passed, they were like $2.99, $3.09. So of course, I mean, I'm saying gas is gas, right? What are you going to put it in your car, put the thing in there, fill it up, and you keep going. But this one said $2.79, in spite of the fact that all of the others said $3.09, $2.99. Even saw one that said $3.19. So of course, I'm saying gas is gas. I mean, it's not like I'm driving a Ferrari that it matters. So I put it in. I get out the car. I start putting my tank, and I get up there, look at on the pump, but the pump said $2.99. So I look out here at the sign on the street. I look at the pump. I said, wait a minute. We have a conflict here. But then I look back at the sign on the street, and it said $2.79 with a car wash. I said, son of a guns. Now I'm already there now, right? My car just washed it like yesterday, so I'm not going to get a car wash just to save 10, 20 cents on the dollar. Plus, my car was clean. But what had happened, I had been lured into that gas station by this sign that said $2.79. Now, whoever did this, I'm just going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, was that wrong? We're going to talk about pricing today. But one of the things I want to talk about to you, the business owner, because I want to keep you guys straight and honest. I don't want you to be so deceptive about it. Now, I'm not going to accuse the gas station owner of being deceptive, but I'm just going to say it deceived me because I'm driving down the street, and you know, and most of you all out there know, when you see that sign and it says $2.79, $2.99, you assume that that is the price of a gallon of gas, because that's the way our brains have been wired through years of conditioning. You're not going to look for a fine print and little print that says with a car wash. And by the time you pull into that tank, you're already there now. So I'm just going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, is that deceptive? And as we talk about as we get into our topic today, we're going to talk about some undeceptive or some honest ways to price your product and service so that you can appeal to your audience, make the money you need to survive, and so forth. I'm just going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that was deceptive. Okay, maybe I'm just being picky. And I have not looked at that gas station the same since. A place where I used to go every week. But now I'm looking at them like, man, if you did that, what else are you deceiving me on? So pricing, as you're going to discover later on, ladies and gentlemen, is also part of your brand. So you don't want to miss this segment coming up on pricing your product the right way and doing it without deceiving people, because that will come back to bite you. That customer, that gas station may have lost a loyal customer who's been going there for over 10, 15 years. Okay, so this pricing thing can be a little, you got to watch it. You got to have strategic. And that's with most things marketing. You have to be strategic. You don't just put a price on there because, well, let me cover my costs. There's more to it than that. So we're going to talk about that later in the show. I'll say good morning to everybody who's tuning in. Brother Brown, Mr. Murray, Professor Murray over at the Millionaire Mastermind Institute, Brother Emmanuel, good to see you this morning, and all of the regular listeners who are tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I am here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Who died and made me king, right? Well, nobody died and made me king, but I've been doing this for quite a minute. I am the president and the owner of Gatewood Marketing and Web. We are a full service advertising and marketing company. We do websites, logos, marketing, branding, business plans. We have a full schedule right now. I'm proud and happy that we're able to do that because we're providing a much needed service, and it's helping me fulfill my mission, my raison d'etre, my reason for being. I'm also an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College, where I teach marketing and web and sales and social media. I do consulting for the Small Business Administration in the 8A program. I'm also an author of 2 books, Played in Full and Smarter Than the Boss. And many of you folks out there who are still working for people, you ask yourself that often. If this joker is telling me what to do, is he smarter than me? Many times the answer is no. That's why that book is a good read. And it's not just a book to sit there and beat up on your boss, because sometimes it takes more than just education smarts to be a good boss. It's more nuanced than that. So I don't want you to think that just because you got a few alphabets behind your name, that person shouldn't be your boss. But it also means that sometimes you have to evaluate. You have to realize that you're on a job for a reason and a season. And that changes. That's pliable. That reason sometimes comes and goes, that season. So, yes. And good morning, brother attorney Bradley Thomas. Glad to see you this morning. All right, folks, so that's what we're going to talk about later. Anyway, we're talking about the gas thing. Well, I came down the street, the guy got the gas station, said $2.79, but it was actually $2.79 with a car wash. And you sitting there with a clean car, you already poured into the tank. What are you supposed to do now? Get back out here on the traffic? No, that was deceptive. We're going to talk about pricing later on. All right, folks, we got a lot going on. So also, we're going to talk about some of the items in the news, as we all want to do on every Friday, because it affects us. People say, why, Robert, do you talk about the news? It can be depressing sometimes. And that's true, too. I was reading a story the other day where some of the mental health therapists talked about stress. Every now and then, you need to take a break from the news. So I'm not trying to add to anybody's stress. But what I want you to understand, as somebody who also has dabbled in the mental health field, is that sometimes we have to talk about these things. And sometimes, if we can place ourselves in these situations, we can avoid some of these negative situations that can drastically and almost undo the fabric of our lives. So that's why we talk about the news. First news story. A group of marketing executives were fired from Netflix because they went on this app called Slack and was talking cash trash about their bosses. I mean, they must have given them some kind of beatdown. Got so mad that Netflix went in there and cleaned 3 marketing executives. I don't know what he said about the person, but he must have said something pretty rotten, because they said, you're out of here. Hey, they get out the door. Goes back to one of the things I talk about often, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have to watch what you put on these social media platforms. I don't know why suddenly everybody seems to believe that theirs is the one that nobody's going to see. You got your little friends out there, your little family members, y'all be going back and forth, carrying on, talking trash about everybody. You talking about the president, you talking about the Black Caucus, you talking about the Trump folks, you talking about everybody. And somehow you feel like that social media has been compartmentalized so that only you and your friends can see it. And you also feel like you go back, I said something I shouldn't have said, so let me go back and delete that. Man, it's too late then. It's been screenshot and shared all over the world. So just be careful, ladies and gentlemen. Just be careful. And Mr. Brown, I'm going to give him some props. He has answered the question given the answer to my question about is the lowest price the best price. Man, he's written a really good story here. I'm going to put it up when I get to my section, but just give you a preview. This man, I tell you one thing, Brother Brown was in one of my classes at the Prince George's Community College, and he was an A student, and now he has a business that's really on a top-notch business. He's also one of my clients, Eternity Plumbing, and we've been working on their logo, their brand, their business, their literature, their website. So, man, let me tell you something, folks. I'm not saying you got to get it from me, but this business thing is not just something you decide to go out here and do because you had a great idea or somebody got you all pumped up. Girl, you better go start yourself a business. You ain't got to take that trash from them. Okay. Out here, boom, 6 months later, you're out of business. No, you got to listen to somebody. So I'm giving you this information free. That's right. And I'm not just, like I said, I told you, I'm not just a guy that jumped out of and read a few books one day and decided to go out here and start telling folks what to do. I've been in corporate America about 20 years. I've been the presidents of companies. I've been the CEO. I've been the CTO. I've been the CFO. I've done all of that. I'm not to brag, but I'm saying you can take this information and you can run with it. And I'm not going to tell you anything that I haven't either done myself or done with one of my successful clients, including people like Mr. Brown and Attorney Thomas and some of the other folks out here, Brother Mary. So yeah, you can take this information to the bank. Love it, Brother Bradley. Love it. All right. So anyway, folks, watch what you say out on social media. Folks on Netflix got fired. Now, there's some trends. We're coming out of this pandemic and we're seeing some trends that have changed the landscape of the workplace. One of the trends is that hybrid models are pretty much here to stay. And a hybrid model, when we're talking about really your work location, where you're going to work. People, some working from home, some are working in the office, and some are doing what we call the hybrid, where they may go into the office on some days and work from home some days. Some are doing part from the office during the day and part from the office at night. So this is the norm now. So you got to kind of figure out what's going to work for you. And this is also helping with this second trend is that what describes a good job has shifted. In the old days, a good job means a boss that didn't yell at you and you got good money. I'm tell you, boy, in the old days, I can't believe some of the crap I took when I accepted when I was first into the workplace. They paid me good money when I first came out of college. I came out of college, I was only 22 years old. I was a buyer for a national supermarket chain. I mean, I was like 22 years old. Man, these guys would actually get on your desk. They would stand on your desk and yell at you. I mean, I was a buyer, and the buyer, you had to make sure that you didn't run out of stock and you weren't overstock, and you had to decide the pricing, and you decided what went on sale, and you bought stuff that was on sale, and you get discounts, and you get free products for buying a certain carload of coffee. Man, you got that wrong. Them guys will come in and literally yell at you, stand on your desk and yell in your face. I mean, you might have an afro back there. My hair be blowing back in the wind. Like the cartoon Dagwood used to come on. That was real life story. Well, the things have shifted now. People still might do that, but they wouldn't get away with it in today's climate. I can assure you that. But what constitutes a good job now has actually changed. That's one of the trends. And the other trend is the businesses are shifting away. The good jobs are shifting away from the big cities. These little mom and pop towns now. We one horse town with one red light and don't even have a McDonald's. They're becoming now the location of many of these good jobs. High-tech companies and other companies are moving into these smaller companies, smaller towns. So what's the workplace has been redefined. Now, here's something you might not know, but inflation is on the rise. And the thing that's driving it, no pun intended, is automobiles. That was a pretty good pun, though, when you think about it. People are buying more cars now. They're getting out from under this pandemic. They ready to put the wind in their hair and drive cross country and eat some wheels. And that's one of the driving factors that's driving up inflation. Just a little FYI. Now, Walmart did a survey of its senior Black employees and asked them some few questions. They probably wish they had kept that survey to themselves. And these executives said, 56 Black managers said, don't come work here, in a nutshell. Like, there are better places to work. Like Malcolm said, any place is better than here. Wow. Sometimes you have to watch what you ask for. They said the benefits, the pay is okay, the benefits, not bad, but never, ever, ever come work here. Man, I wonder what's going on there. I know it's not a good place for the frontline workers because somebody's shooting up the place like every other week. And it's almost like all these memes out here on social media. If you go to work in Walmart, it's a pretty good chance you're going to become a meme. They're taking pictures of the people that come to work in Walmart, the people that shop there. It has been the butt of many jokes, but for some reason, the Black senior managers say it's not the place to work. We're going to take a break in a minute. We're going to come back and do what our other segment, which is called "Why is Everybody So Angry?" War in the Workplace. But before we do that, job openings has hit a record level. Now, this is a story where I think people are not really being honest. And this, to me, is not a political issue. They said it. People they're getting this money, right? This stimulus money, $300. I'm not talking about the child tax credit. I'm talking about the $300 a month, a week, whatever they were giving out. And on the left, people are saying that does not affect people's eagerness to go to work. And on the right is saying it's keeping people from being able to fill jobs. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And two things can be true at once. I think, yes, companies need to pay more. And that is the number one reason that people aren't flocking back to work. They're tired of being abused. But at the same time, you got to admit, if I don't have to work and I can get a check, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to tell you. If somebody told me, look, Robert, you can make the same amount of money right now, get off this air, stop doing websites and writing business plans, and just go somewhere and collect the check. Believe me, I'm going to take the latter. That doesn't make me lazy. That doesn't make me crazy. That doesn't make me a drawn society. It just makes me human. So I think what we have to do, folks, is take politics out of everything. Is talk like regular folks. Talk to each other. Let's communicate. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with saying, look, I'd rather stay home and get a check until I can find a job where people treat me fairly, pay me what I'm worth. Pay me. I'll pay to stay home until that happens. So yes, two things can happen at once. They are not mutually exclusive. So let's see, what else we got going on here? So yeah, job openings have hit a record level because people just say, look, man, I ain't going back in that hot kitchen, grease popping on me, fighting folks over masks for less than minimum wage. Not when I get a free check. I'm not saying I'm going to work for, wait to get this check free forever, but give me the right opportunity where I'm going to be treated fairly, paid fairly, and I'll go back to work. I think that's most of us. Daggone it. Now, Wells Fargo, I don't know what's up with them. First of all, they got caught a few years ago doing something funny with people's these mortgages. And now they are closing all personal lines of credit. Come on, Wells Fargo. I mean, haven't you had enough bad PR for one period? Come on, let at least a cycle go by before you come back out with something else. Personal lines of credit, by the way, in case you didn't know, it's like between $3,000 and $10,000 against your credit. You can go do things like a home improvement, get you some rims, and you wouldn't have to, it's not a business line, it's a personal line. Well, they're cutting that out. They're saying they have other vehicles that can take care of that need. But here's what's the kicker, though. That's got everybody up in arms. They said this may impact your credit score. What you talking about, Willis? You mean you're going to make an arbitrary decision that's going to impact my credit score, and I'm not going to get angry about it? You're taking my credit, and you say it's going to be harder for me to go get more credit because of your decision. Wells Fargo, you can do better. You can do better than that. That, to me, doesn't seem right. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, last story before we go take our break. This is an interesting story. Jeff Bezos, the owner and founder of Amazon, he has a rule. Now, I don't want to knock anybody who's made $1 zillion. So I mean, we got to take everything they say and say, look, maybe this might work for me too. But I don't know about this one. He said his rule was he had a two-piece, I mean the pie that with the sauce and hamburger and mushrooms, whatever you put on top of it. He has a two-piece rule for meetings. That means if you can't serve everybody in that meeting with two pieces, then there's too many people in the meeting. All right, let's think about this again. Now, this guy does have $1 zillion. He's going to the spaceships and all kind of stuff, so we can't call him a dummy. But I don't know if that's the rule that got him there, though, tell you the truth, folks, because he don't know some of my folks. That might explain the disparity and the lack of diversity in some of these meetings. 2 pizzas? Man, I know one person can eat that whole 2. So that means this meeting must be for one person. It must last for like a half hour. Maybe that's the rule. Maybe it just needs one person. You don't need five, 6 people getting one little slice. I have to think on that one. 2 pizzas to ensure the group can achieve the common goal without wasting time. All right, Jeff Bezos, you're a zillionaire. Let me go out and get me 2 pizzas today. Go out here, go across the street to Lido's or Subway even sells pizzas now. Everybody sells pizzas. We'll get me 2 pizzas and put them on my desk. And I'm going to stand back and wait on my $1 billion to come. I'm not sure it works quite like that, but hey, this guy's made $1 zillion, so you got to, what he said, you want to be successful, you do what successful people do. All right, folks, I'm going to take a quick break. I want to thank our sponsors, too, that help make this show possible. People like the Perfect Batch Foods, Adrian and Walter Terrell over down in North Carolina. They have this great sauce, hot sauce, and a twang spice, and they're sponsors of the show. Also, BLE Executive Suites. Man, these folks are phenomenal. I cannot believe how good BLE is. They have these 3 locations. If you have like business needs, you could be in the DC area or not, because they have the phone answering services. They have the 3 locations, including its office over at the National Harbor. I'm one of their clients. I'm sitting in my studio is in Largo. But if I have a client that calls me today, so look, I don't want to drive all the way up the Beltway. I'm coming out of Northern Virginia or Southwest DC. I said, well, look, meet me over at the National Harbor. We might even walk across the street to the BMGM or go to Tanger Outlet or walk down to the Awakening. That's how convenient it is. But anyway, you can call them if you need phone answering services, a satellite office, a business permanent address where you can take advantage of their 3 locations. Put those 3 locations on your business card. Tell them Gatewood sent you from the Marketing Pulpit, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to give you a free month of whatever service you decide to get. That's right. Whether it's a lease on an office, answering service, their virtual services, whatever. Tell them Gatewood at the Marketing Pulpit sent you. If they give you a hard time, you out of luck. No, I'm serious. They give you a hard time, just tell them I said. All right, folks, we're going to be back in a minute. We're going to talk about some of the why are people so angry and war in the workplace. Don't go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Don't go away. All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we're here every Friday at 10:30 bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses here, saving jobs, saving our community. And I'd like to thank everybody who's tuning in this morning from all the different platforms. We have people tuning in from LinkedIn, from YouTube, from Facebook, and from Twitter and Periscope and Vimeo. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You have made this show a success. Thank you, and welcome to my good friend Daryl Spears over at Elite Conversation, Mr. Podcast King. Great platform to have over there. Check them out on Facebook and at their website. And I'll tell you, folks, some of the folks that tune in and people who chime in and contact me after the show, during the week, it just keeps accentuating this belief that I have about relationships. It's one of my secret sauces of marketing. I would not be here if it weren't not for people like Daryl Spears and William Murray and Brother Bradley Thomas and Brother Gerald Brown, Brother Manuel Christ, and the Bernadette Clays of the world, and the Adrian Terrells, and the list just goes on and on. The Joe Madison, the Neely Fuller, the Thurman Jerry, the Sean Smiths. All these people are just in there. The Christina Ortiz and people who send clients this way, people who support the show, Janelle Taylor. I mean, my list, and I miss anybody, I'm sorry, but the list is just so long. They're not all necessarily clients. They're stakeholders. There are people that have a stake in the success or failure of the business. Sometimes they're just referral partners. Sometimes they're just people that support the mission and the aims of the show. So if you're not out here building your stakeholders while you're trying to acquire clients, you're missing the boat. I've done several shows on social media and how the different platforms serve a different purpose. And I use LinkedIn, for instance, to help build those stakeholder relationships. I don't go on LinkedIn for customer acquisition. Now, if somebody decides to join or become a client or become a sponsor, hey, rah. But I use LinkedIn for that purpose. I use Instagram for visual branding. I use Facebook for sending traffic to the websites and getting reviews. I use Twitter to help kind of keep me abreast of the trends that are going on, what people are talking about. So I have done several shows. You can go to marketingpulpit.com and just do a search on some of the shows. We have the title of the show on the thumbnails. You can listen to the show and get some of these tips that we give out here every week on the Marketing Pulpit TV show as we try to build strong businesses in our community and put people to work. Now, something that has happened during the last year, we've had quite a bit of discord in the workplace where people have turned on each other. These same stakeholders that I love and dear and cherish, I just spent the last minute talking about, they've turned on each other. And sometimes in dramatic fashion. We've had airline stewardesses who had their teeth knocked out. We have people doing drive-by. The poor drivers, these Lyft and Uber drivers, my goodness. If they're not being shot, they're shooting the passengers. So I've started a segment I attribute it to lockdown-itis. It's a condition that I've coined. We just got so much, we locked down so long, we lost some of our interpersonal human skills. So we came out swinging. I was like, who are these people? I see humans. Who are these folks that look like me? Let me punch them. Let me run them off the road. So I'm doing a segment not to further distress you, but one of my underlying purposes is to help you understand also that you don't have to be the one to escalate it. Matter of fact, you can de-escalate. And the other thing I've been encouraging people to do is to leave these guns at home. For instance, a man threatened to blow up a McDonald's after not getting enough sauce with his McNuggets. You didn't give the man enough sauce? Come on, really. You know, it reminds me when I was one of my company, the Food Connection, and we were one of the forerunners of home delivery restaurant meals. And it's a joke that I tell now, but it wasn't funny at the time. People would be so angry when you didn't bring their mumbo sauce. I don't know if anybody here knows what mumbo sauce is. I know it's very popular here in the DC area. Mumbo sauce is like a sweet, tangy, syrupy sauce that you spread on fried chicken wings and stuff like that. And so when my company would go out and do the home delivery to these different places, and we didn't bring their mumbo sauce, man, you bitty. They didn't blow people up back then, but just imagine if we had a pandemic back then. Man, I'd probably be blown up by now because I left many people's mumbo sauce behind. And good morning, Brenda Richardson and Brenda Lee the model. Thank you for tuning in, chiming in this morning, and everybody else who's chiming in from all over the internet. But yeah, this guy threatened to blow up the McDonald's. He didn't get enough sauce with his McNuggets. And of course, he's been arrested. He also threatened to punch the workers at the McDonald's. Is this a case of lockdown-itis? Would he have done this if we didn't have the pandemic? I'm just going to say, look, he had a bad day. McDonald's, I mean, give the man as much sauce as he need. I don't know how much sauce he needed, but I can tell you, I can relate. When people want their sauce, they want their sauce. Maybe I'm lucky I didn't get blown up during my days as a sauce provider, but thank goodness I've changed my line of work. A man was dragged out of a barbershop by the hair after being accused of stealing this woman's car. Let me tell you something else, thieves. I got a little advice for you thieves out there.
How you doing?
You're not going to beat this technology. I'm sorry. Some of these old school thieves and even these young school thieves who haven't figured out all this technology out here. You're in a losing battle against this technology. I'm telling you. This lady, she had a Mercedes-Benz. This guy stole her Mercedes and she had this tracking device on it. So she would track this car trying to find the person that stole it. I'm not sure the guy realized he was being tracked. But this guy was driving. She'd go to one place. He'd get there. He's already taken off. So he's driving around town where he stole the car. That's the other thing. If you're going to steal a car, you got to go sell it or do something. You can't be riding around town with it. So he finally goes to this barbershop. The lady goes into the barbershop. She says, do you have a car outside? The guy said, no. She said, you're lying. Punches the guy in the head. And next thing you know, the fight erupts. And the rest of the people in the barbershop were dragging the guy out of the shop by his dreadlocks. So, moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, don't steal a car. Don't steal anybody's car. If you're going to steal a car, these new cars, man, these things are smarter than people. You can't be stealing a car nowadays. It ain't like the old days, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new day. Now, these workers also, I've talked about it earlier. These workers are fed up. In Lincoln, Nebraska, the entire Burger King staff just quit. Man, they may have got some of that $300 a week. They said, look, guys. Now, I'm sure that wasn't the reason they quit, but you got to put that into the equation. In the old days, if you quit, you didn't have any money coming in. What Burger King needs to do, like most of these places, you have to pay people a living wage. They're just not putting up with it anymore. And I don't blame them. Come on, people. We can do better than this. I'm telling you, I've never paid minimum wage. I've always, even back before pandemic, I have never felt that I could get the type of employees that I want by paying them a minimum wage or less or whatever. It just doesn't matter. It's not good math. You're going to have more turnover, more customer complaints, absenteeism. Just pay people a good wage. I know a lot of these restaurants, they're franchises. And so they're not quitting on McDonald's Corporation. They're quitting on some franchise owner. But these franchise owners, they're following the blueprint set forth by the corporation. So it's a little more nuanced, but still, you've got to pay people. Plain and simple. Man, this what else is going on? Now, this is a story that you're talking about your stakeholders doing you wrong. In Ohio, a hospital accidentally gave a kidney to the wrong patient. Man, that is wrong on so many levels. First of all, a kidney is hard to get. I don't know if you guys know this yet, but there's 100,000 name waiting list to get a kidney in the first place. So just imagine you've been waiting for a kidney for 5 years. You finally get one. You sitting over there waiting on the doctor to come in there and cut you open and stick the new kidney in you. And you're like, hey, what's taking so long here? I should have my kidney by now. And some guy in the other room was waking up saying, what the heck? Hey, what's going on here? I came here to get a tooth extraction. What Why my stomach hurting? I mean, this is so wrong in so many levels. I don't know if we can blame this on the lockdown, but that's a tragedy of epidemic of epic proportions. Somebody whose time finally came up on this 100 name waiting list finally gets his turn it back to get a new kidney, and now they got to go back on the waiting list. People aren't just lining up to give away kidneys. And also, just a side, in our community, ladies and gentlemen, there are not enough donors of any type, whether it's kidneys, hearts, blood. We are not living up to our quota when it comes to donating and contributing. Just an FYI. Like, we have certain issues like sickle cell where we need more blood, some of the other populations. So folks, we got to do better at that too. But when you do give a kidney, you want to make sure it goes to the right person. That's a really tragic story. Now, Walmart just stays in the news. This 7-year-old lady in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, she gets into a verbal spat with a 17-year-old young lady, and she goes about punching her in the head. I mean, she really gave this lady a beating. Why is it always Walmart, though? Maybe Walmart just because they're big and they're a bigger target. This probably happens in mom and pop stores as well. But somehow Walmart seems to just get their undue share. Well, this young lady, Jazzarine, what's her name again? Jazzaria. I didn't know what she named. Jazzaria Valesquez. She was a clerk at the store. This lady, and I know some of these customers can really get on your nerve. You're already being underpaid. You're in Walmart. You're 17. You want to be out there playing with your girlfriends, and here's some 7-year-old lady giving you a hard time. And then the lady's going to exacerbate the situation by taking a picture of her. But of course, 17-year-old Jazzaria, she wasn't having it. So she goes about the business of punching this lady in the head. I mean, giving her a couple of black eyes. Jazzaria and everybody else. I've been doing this segment for people like you. Don't be the one to escalate this. And definitely don't be the one to be punching 70-year-old ladies in the head. I don't care what they say to you. Yes, I understand being on that front line can be very stressful. You may not be being paid what you think you deserve. Some of these customers they can push your buttons. They throw out these words. Some of them probably deserve a good punching, but you can't do it. Just don't do it. It's going to hurt you. So I hope this young lady gets some type of counseling and anger management, and hopefully she can move beyond this wiser, and it doesn't ruin her career. 17 years old is too young to start out with this kind of mark on your record. And to the 70-year-old lady who was punched, I hope she recovers, and just be careful in these situations. You don't want to be the spark, escalate, get somebody to start punching on you. Just be a little more sensitive to the situation at hand, because we all have the moral of this story, and this many stories, ladies and gentlemen. You got to think about these situations you find yourself in. It's not automatic. You do what you saw people do on TV. Good example. A man is accused of killing a 15-year-old boy for tampering with his car. Now let's imagine you're in your house, you got your nice wheels outside. You look out in your camera, your Ring camera, and some little knucklehead out there is taking your rims or trying to break in your car. You ever got to stop leaving these guns in your cars too? That's an epidemic. And your instinct, because you've seen it on TV, you figure you got a gun. What is a gun for if it's not for this situation? You go out there, you see the person, you aim and you shoot. That is wrong. A car can be replaced, but that young man, 15 years old, he is now dead. And you're going to jail because we didn't think this thing through. Now, I must admit, that's tempting. It's like, why do I have a gun? I bought this gun to protect me and my property. But I've told you folks, unless somebody is threatening your life or the life of somebody that's near and dear to you, You don't need to pull that gun out, because you pull it out, it almost always ends wrong. This 15-year-old young man does not need to be dead. And this 25-year-old young man does not need to be in prison. Just a bad call on both accounts. You shouldn't be out here tampering people's cars, young people. I told you, this technology, you can't beat it nowadays. There's a camera everywhere. Things are being tracked, filmed. I have a camera on my house. Somebody broke in my car in the yard. And if I hadn't read these stories, I could have made some bad decisions, because I know how the outcome. And when you're in the moment and nobody's kind of coached you on what to do when these situations occur, sometimes you impulsively make these bad decisions. Let me get my gun and go out here and you shoot at the area, shoot in the dark. I'm not trying to kill him. I'm just going to shoot and scare him off. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You could hit the neighbors across the street. Just don't do it. Leave the guns out. Call the police. 2 lives are ruined because of a bad decision. Speaking of thinking about situations too, now this is a little different story, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Representative John Thompson out of Minnesota, he was pulled over by police, and he was accused the police of, stopping him driving while black. And that may be true. I don't know. I wasn't there. He said the guy stopped him because he was missing his front plate on his license. And during the stop, however, things start to escalate. Now, here's a lesson for everybody who, if your paperwork isn't right. Now, I'm just going to put the driving while black aside for a minute. But when you start getting law enforcement involved and you start slinging accusations, just know this other side has a lawyer. They have depositions. They can get all the information, phone records, and everything else. Well, what Representative Thompson now is under fire for, because when he gave the officer his driver's license, it was a Wisconsin driving license, and he is an office holder in Minnesota. So he's found himself with a lot of explaining to do. So that story has overtaken the other story of his being stopped possibly for driving while black. Now, I'm sure these other issues probably would not have come up if he said, look, let's let this go. I'm not saying he should, but before you decide to make something a federal case, you have to make sure your house is in order. Because people will go digging. They're looking for defense. They're looking for distractions. Now, I'm sure in hindsight, Representative Thompson may have made a different decision, because he didn't want that kind of heat. So now that has become the story. They're not talking about the stop anymore. That has been the right wing has taken this story and gone crazy with it. They're calling for him to resign and all kind of stuff. I'm not saying you should let stuff go that happens, but what you do have to do, you have to think about, do a little weight, a little analysis, cost benefit. Of course, I don't want to be stopped while driving while black. Nobody wants that. But at the same time, do you want these folks all up in your business if you're a representative in Minnesota and you have a residency in Wisconsin? I'm just saying. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about pricing. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. I bring you the good marketing gospel. I'm not saving souls. I'm not a spiritual minister, even though I'm a spiritual person. But my ministry is to build businesses and work on mindsets. That's why we do this news. You notice I don't want you to sit here and tell you how to go out here and make $1 zillion bucks. What I try to do is equip you mentally, give you the right mindset to go out here and do it yourself. All right. We're going to take another quick break, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to come back. We're going to talk about pricing. Once again, thank everybody who's tuning in. Like Brother Bradley said, you live in that legal glass house. I like that. If you live in legal glass house, don't throw legal stones. And that's exactly what happened to Representative Thompson. I'm not saying that he should not have done what he did, But you gotta weigh this stuff. I mean, you can't be out here and like you get some people got all this crazy stuff going on in your background. Before you go out here and start accusing people and make drawing light and heat on yourself, you gotta keep that in mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hang on. We're gonna come back and talk about pricing. If you have a business owner, you want to make sure you tune in. If you have somebody you want to get this information for, please share this information. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bring you the good marketing gospel. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'll be back in a minute. Hey, all right, welcome back to the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. And when I saving souls, we're saving businesses. Good morning to Brother William Maxwell on Idea Gear. He's going to be a guest coming up soon, talking about his T-shirt line, which is very activist driven. It has profound messages, and you really got to check him out. It's coming up in the month of August. And next week, we're going to have, of course, the wellologist, Candace Camille. I want to say hello to Crystal down in North Carolina. Welcome, Crystal, for tuning in. Thank you. And everybody else tuning in. We got a full house today. People tuning in on all the different platforms. I see LinkedIn in the house. I see Facebook in the house. I see YouTube in the house. So thank you again for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. And thank you for making this show a success. Folks, let me tell you something. I do this every Friday, but during the week, I'm a worker. I don't just sit up here and talk about this stuff. I do it. When I get off this line, I have about 3 or 4 websites with my company that I'm working on. We're still working on a couple of business plans, marketing strategies. Got a few people calling in this week who want us to take them on to the client. I need to kind of work out the pricing and put some package together for them. So some people can talk about this stuff. I don't just talk about it. When I get off this air, this coat comes off, sleeve come up, and we get to work. And many people on this line can actually attest to that. I have so many of our clients tuning in today, like Brenda, Gerald, Bradley, William, and so forth. And so thank you again for tuning in. Folks, I gave an example of this morning I was coming to work. I saw a sign on the side of the road, the gas station. And they had a sign that said $2.79. Now, of course, that's where you normally see the sign of the lowest price gas. Use the low octane gas, not the high test. I don't know if you use that term anymore, high test. They used to be the high octane. They used to call it high test in the old days. But I pulled into the pump, and it really meant $2.79 if you get a car wash. I'm like, wait a minute now. I waited at the light to make the turn. I pulled up there, got out the car. It's 100 degrees outside. I'm not getting back in this car to go across the street where the price was actually the right price. It was $2.99, but it was actually the same price as this price was without the car wash. But they had gotten me. That's a pricing strategy that somebody used because they understand the importance of pricing. Pricing is one of those 4 P's of marketing that are so important, that are foundational to business success. Right up there with product, promotion, place, price. Product, promotion, place, price. Why is it so important? Well, for one thing, it can be used very strategically. As we see also, it can be abused. But it helps in your profitability, your positioning, and your perception. Let's talk about the profitability angle for a minute. The novice people among us who get into the pricing game, the thing that we understand the most is that we have to cover our costs. And some people even get that wrong because they don't understand all of the costs. They're just covering the cost of the product itself. You bought a can of beans. The can was $12. It's 12 pieces of 12 cans of beans in the box. That means it has a unit cost of $1. So you figure if I mark it up to $1.50, I'm going to get my money and all is good. That just covers the cost of the product. But what about labor? What about advertising? What about taxes? What about overhead, rent? So you have to cover your costs, but you have to understand what your costs are. Your CPA, we call it cost per acquisition. What did it cost you to get that customer? What is your margin? Don't forget, and if you service people, you got to include your overhead, your time, how much you want to make. Okay. Another thing you have to consider is the competition. Where do you want to be positioned when it comes to competition? And the other thing is, what would the market bear? They make the joke about the dentist to go out here and say, look, I need to raise my price because I got to go get me some new golf clubs. That's not how you price, because you may raise that price to get those golf clubs, but it's not what the market will bear. So you have to be aware of where the market is at all times. That doesn't mean you have to follow the market verbatim, but you have to be aware. Where does the pricing fall? What will the market allow me? I can't go too high. Also, I can't go too low. If I go too low, people are going to think it's a scam. If I go too high, they're going to think I'm trying to rip them off. So that's one thing to think about. What are similar services charging? Where do you want to position yourself? Do you want to be their equal? Do you want to be superior to them in the eyes of the consumer? Or do you want to be viewed as the cheap alternative? You got to make those kind of decisions. And I think about pricing long and hard when I'm pricing my own services. I had a young lady, she referred me quite a few clients. And it's a joke among, the joke is that, she said, Robert, I got some more clients I want to refer to you, but they think you're a little high. Do you think I said I'm going to go lower my price? Because maybe that person is not my customer. I'm not high. It's all relative. If you want the cheapest guy in town or girl in town, yeah, maybe I might be viewed as high. But you have to think about what you're getting for that money. Another thing you got to consider is your brand, the perception. I asked the question in the promotion to this show, is the lowest price the best price? Mr. Brown gave us a great overview on this. Is the lowest price the best price? I asked all my students when I teach this course at Prince George's College, and I'm always amused and amazed at the answers. Most of them get it wrong. I said, is the lowest price the best price? Everybody said, no. Some said, well, yes, it is. I ask you, is the lowest price the best price? The answer is, it depends. It may be, it may not be. The answer is yes and no, depending on your audience. If you're Walmart, you darn right it's the best price. Okay? If you're Saks Fifth Avenue or Gatewood Marketing, lowest price is not the best price. I'm just going to tell you. I'm not going to be your lowest price on everything. But I use pricing strategically. I know when to be the lowest price, when I have to be. And that's going to take me into my next section. Because once upon a time, people had this concept that, you go out and put the lowest price on stuff, people will be a path to your door. That's an old school strategy that's just so far gone now. Because people perceive low price as inferior quality in certain circles. I bought this past winter, I bought a space heater from Walmart. I went online, I think it was $13. It's like every other heater on there was like 45, 39, $50. I'm like, a heater is a heater. Walmart wouldn't sell me a heater that wouldn't work. It's not gonna set my house on fire, I hope. Even though I was a little nervous, I said, well, shoot, I'm only gonna use the thing every now and then. Let me give them that $13.86 and get me a heater. I just need it for just to put down to my feet, because my feet get cold sometimes. I didn't want to turn up the whole house and spend $1,000 on electricity when I just want to warm up a couple of toes. So I just gave them $13. Man, that thing didn't last through the winter. It's sitting in the corner right now, and I'm fuming over it. So the lowest price was not the best price in that regard. And it leaves a bad perception in people's mouths, bad taste in your mouth. Just like the guy that did the thing with the gas. So you got to be strategic with pricing. You got to, as consumers, we start building perceptions based on pricing. That's why business owners have to be more strategic when they start sticking prices on things. Let me give you a few pricing strategies before we get out of here. First of all, I said don't be deceptive. That's going to get you. It's going to come back to get you. Don't trick people into buying from you. They're going to figure it out. Just like I told you about the guy with the gas. Had the big sign said $2.79 a gallon. I pull in there and said $2.79 with a car wash. I wasn't going to figure that out eventually. Yeah, you got me in there that time. But now every time I drive by there, I'm not going to believe your pricing. So deceptive pricing will not work to your benefit in the long run. Think about this. Sometimes consumers are wired to be attracted to the lowest price. That's just human nature. So I want you to think about this. I see it happening a lot in my industry. You might play with a flat rate pricing versus a recurring price. So your flat rate price might be $1,000. Your recurring price might be $100 a month. And because the way some people are wired and because of their spending habits, they would be more attracted to $100 than $1,000. They're not going to take the time to do the math. It may be $100 a month for only 12 months, but that person has made an additional $200. The price was actually $1,200. So you bought the $1,000 because, you bought the $100 a month because it looked cheaper than $1,000, but in actuality, it was more over the course of the purchase. Now, I don't have any problem with that. And I'm gonna tell you why, because one, you letting that person, you giving that person your product in advance. And that has a cost, that has opportunity costs. So it's okay to get that extra $200 on the end. Plus, that's why people, many markets, that's how they are accustomed to buying. And many of the things that I talk about when it comes to pricing, if you want to look at an industry that has it figured out, look no further than the auto industry. And all these tactics that I'm going to share with you, most of them are actually being used right now, but as we speak, by the automobile industry. These guys can sell a car. I sold a car. I worked for a car dealers for about a week. Wasn't my cup of tea. And maybe for some of those same reasons, but I just couldn't do it. I lasted about a week. I got to get out of here. So think about recurring fee versus flat fee. And you're almost always going to make more money with the recurring fee. But at the same time, you may use that to get a lower perception price-wise in the same time. So it's a gift that keeps on giving. Another thing you might think about doing is not including everything in your base price. Once again, this practice has been really worked out to the advantage of the automobile industry. They might put a car on the internet for $5,000. You get it? That doesn't include the tires or the brakes. That's an exaggeration, but it might not include air, it might not have automatic transmission, it might not include a lot of things. So you might think about that, but not to the extent of being deceptive about it. Because there are certain things that your competition may not be including in their price that you are including in yours, and it makes you look like your price is actually higher. So you want to kind of, once again, go with what the market will bear and not be deceptive about it. We have on our website, we have a website for $7.95. That's not going to get you everything you might want. It's not going to give you e-commerce. It's not going to give you an SSL certificate, but it's going to give you a basic website. For one thing, you might not need e-commerce. You might not need an SSL certificate because it may be already given to you through the company that gave you your domain name. So it's okay not to include all these things in your price, your base price, that are not in the price of your competition. So you want to make your pricing a little more modular to keep your pricing perception down, your competitive perception down. At the same time, you may be charging people for things they don't actually need. You can also use your pricing in the closing process. In the sales process, you got the benefit selling, the overcoming objection, and the closing process. The pricing can be a great tool, great weapon when it comes to closing the sale. So look, can we do this today? Let's do this right now. I can go ahead and knock off $100. Or that does not change your pricing on the big picture, but you can use pricing as a weapon when it comes to closing and sale. You can put certain things in fine print that don't have to be reflected in your base price. Also, you can do seasonal pricing. Seasonal prices are a great tool. Sometimes you want to get a good jump. You want to launch a new product during a certain time of year. You don't want to take up with your base pricing. Sometimes you want to experiment with a lower price to see if you can attract a different audience. Seasonal pricing is a great tool for that. Also, introductory pricing. Sometimes even people that have money, they like a good deal to start out with because we call that the low threshold approach. Everybody's not ready to open their wallet to you the first time they meet you. They want to test you. And you can do that with a low introductory price. I'm good on that because I understand the lifetime value model. I will almost give it to you the first time out the gate because I understand that if you're going to be a loyal customer for me, I don't mind losing $200 or $300 on the first rodeo, because the lifetime value, that customer can spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 with me. So we can tinker with that pricing on the introductory offer. Also, if you are spinning your wheels and things aren't just going right, you're saying, look, I've tried everything. You may have priced your product too low for the audience you're going after. I used the example when I first got into the web business. I had $100. I launched my web company on the Washington Post with a $100 website. Matter of fact, it was a $99 website when everybody else was charging thousands of bucks. Phone just rang like crazy. So much to the point where I say, look, I can't do this. I'm going to raise the price so that people will stop calling me and give me a break. I raised the price and something magical happened. That phone rang even more because there was a certain audience out there that was convinced that they could not get a viable, a real practical website for $99. So when I raised the price to $300, $400, and a brand new audience opened up who said, now that's the price I'm willing to pay. That's a real website. So you may be turning away some of your potential clients because your price is too low. They just don't believe they can get a quality product at that price. So what you might do, you might offer an alternative product. Could be the same product. Put a different name on it, give it a different label. Big companies do it all the time. I even do it. Some of those same prices, you do it to get that customer in the door because you understand lifetime value. And the last thing we want to talk about is sale. You can always do a sale. That's a good way to test the market on what the market will bear. You don't have to tinker with your base. Do a sale. Say, look, hey, it's Christmas. Hey, it's Hanukkah, it's Ramadan, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day. And you'll be surprised. Some of those folks that you thought was sitting up there high and mighty, didn't want a good deal, man, they come flocking in the door. And once they came in that door, now you got them. They realize now, because now you can turn on the customer service They can see how fantastic you are, how great your staff is, and now they become a lifetime customer. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. We'll be back next week, right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You guys have been great. And let's not forget, if you have some questions about marketing and sales and business, go to marketingpulpit.com and just flip through those shows. We have the topic right in the title of the show, right in the thumbnail. And you can sit there sometime, grab yourself a nice cold one and a cup of coffee or a tea or chai, whatever you drink, and just flip through some of these shows. And that's like going back to school. It's the same stuff I teach over at the college, except you're getting it free. I'll be back next week, and thanks again for tuning in. If you want to be successful, ladies and gentlemen, you got to do these 3 things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you got to do it